There are some good moments in Holiday Wishes, but in general, I wouldn't say it's a very good film. It needs a lot of work. It has potential, but I don't think it's very well handled. This was released in 2006. It's directed by David Weaver. It's written by Peter Mohan, and we have a cast including Benson, Britt McKillip, and Keating. And this focuses on Brittany and Rachel, who are very different teenagers. I won't go into too much detail about their backgrounds, as I don't want to spoil it too much, but they have very different lives, and something happens, and they end up switching bodies. Honestly, that part of it, the event that led to the switch, part of me thinks, yeah, that was a good idea, it works. And part of me thinks that was very poorly thought out. So I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that actual moment. And I love watching Freaky Friday-esque films where characters switch bodies. And for me, they have to get that moment right. It has to be believable within the world of the film. And I guess I kind of believe it. I guess it's okay. And I'd say the only thing I enjoyed about this is watching, first of all, their reactions, Brittany and Rachel's reactions when they wake up and realise they're in somebody else's body. They know each other. They're not friends, but they know each other, so they realise whose house they're in and kind of realise that maybe their body has somebody else in it. So they're able to meet very quickly, and the interactions between them I love. Well, love's a strong word, but I really thoroughly enjoyed those. That's the only thing I liked about this. The initial discovery that they'd switched bodies, and then whenever they would interact, which, to be fair, they do interact for quite a lot of the film. But the thing that doesn't work is the narrative. It doesn't work. It's very poorly thought out. It's very chaotic. It's very busy. We also have a character in this called Danni, and while I don't dislike the character, I thought she was very, very pointless. I can see kind of what they wanted to do with the character, but she just added an unnecessary dimension. She didn't need to be there. It should have just been about Brittany and Rachel, and then it would have been a little bit better, and the narrative wouldn't have been as scattered. It wouldn't have been as poorly written. The structure wouldn't have been as bad. The pacing wouldn't have been as bad. The pacing's not terrible, but there were definitely times, mostly when we were focusing on Danni, when I didn't care. It's not connected enough to the main narrative for me to enjoy it, and I don't think the character really added anything. And there are just too many things happening with this film. Not in the sense that it's difficult to keep up with. At no point did I feel like I couldn't understand what was going on, or I feel like I'd missed out on something. It's still easy to keep up with it, but it's just so chaotic on all over the place that the structure is very sloppy. It's very messy. And unfortunately, I don't think they did a good job with actually telling the story. So the concept is great. I think it's a really brilliant concept. Oh, and it's set against a Christmas backdrop, but honestly, it could be set at any time of the year. And for the most part, anyway. And I feel like the characters were interesting. The performances were brilliant, particularly the character of, Rachel and then Brittany. She's played by Keating, and the switch in her character's personality. Obviously, she starts out as Rachel, and then when Katie takes over Rachel's body, she behaves very, very, very differently. And to see that performance and to see, I guess, two sides of Katie Keating's abilities, it's wonderful to experience. I did really thoroughly enjoy that, and it was very, very well done. So the actual switch aspect, no, I can't say it was well handled. The performances were good. The interaction between Brittany and Rachel was always very good. Danni was just in the way. She got in the way of an otherwise good narrative. But even if she wasn't in it, I think the narrative would need a lot of work. I think they tried too hard and they threw too much at it. And because of that, it just became messy and ill-formed. So unless you're a very big fan of Freaky Friday-esque films, I'd say it's not worth watching it. But if, like me, you do love those films, I will always watch any film where characters switch bodies. I just think it's such a fun concept. And again, I love to see the performances. I love to see the actors taking on a character completely different to the character they started out as. I just think it's so wonderful to see. And that part of it, I enjoyed. So if you are a huge fan of Freaky Friday style films, give it a go. You will enjoy bits of it. But if you're just looking for a film to sit down and enjoy and become immersed in, I think Holiday Wishes is far too messy to be enjoyable. It needs a lot of work. It had potential. The performances are very strong. 2 of the characters are very good, but the narrative is a mess, and because of that, I'm not likely to recommend it.